I mean, I think in terms of our characters, like, we stay pretty true to um, our kind of arc. Obviously, towards the end of this season, things start going in a different direction, but um, I would say that our sort of core objectives remain the same. Yeah. Um, there is an element in the book in terms of um, the kind of religion that we're following that is more sort of prevalent in the book that isn't brought into the season. But there's just so many elements already at play that I think, I think we kind of incorporated more into the main group the way that they've.
Yeah, I think it was really wise how they've woven together different parts of the book into the story, even in season one.
Mm-hmm.
And then thematically, it stays pretty on point for at least our characters, I think. And the things that you really love about the twins, individually and together, those are still incorporated into the show. So yeah, I wasn't surprised. I was pleased.
Yeah.
Similar in a lot of ways, actually. We both study and revere martial arts and that whole world and everything that comes with that, including the psychology and philosophy behind a lot of great martial art forms. And what I mean by that is there's ways to train the mind as well as the body, and I think that's something that I really follow and love and have dedicated a lot of my life to. Toya loves poetry. I also love poetry. I love reading, and I think that it's a great balance between the physical and the mental and strengthening all areas of your life instead of just one or the other. And Toya is a big foodie, and so am I. And so is Anna.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and she's an amazing cook too, actually.
Oh,
Incredible cook. Like, blew my mind. I took photos of everything. I was really. Yeah, I think that those qualities in Toya are also in myself, and then, he's very loyal, and when he believes in something, he goes full-heartedly into that project or into that mission, no matter what, even if his life is at risk. And I feel a lot of similarities towards that in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, I also, from the get-go, really resonated with Tamar and her kind of. She's very strong-willed. I have definitely been described as such. But I think at her core, she's got a big heart, and she's very decisive. She's very much someone to set her mind on something and go for it. But she's also always up for a challenge, I think. So that is a really sort of exciting front-footed character to play. I think I would love to be as kind of decisive as she is, or at least single-minded. I'm often like assessing things, weighing up the pros and cons, and I can be a bit too much of a thinker sometimes, and not Tamar. So I think that would be quite certainly when I'm playing the character, I'm like, this is a really like clear way to be. And then I could maybe emulate that a little bit more would be great.
Do you think that it rubbed off on you at all?
I definitely, like, to a certain degree, I was like, make a decision, go with it, go with the gut. And it starts to bleed in a little bit. So, yeah, I've been doing that a bit more.
I mean, for me, it was. I think for both of us, I don't know. Well, I do know. It's true. When we first read with each other in the chemistry read, we were still reading with other actors and stuff. And you were my first choice that I felt the most connected to and the most nuanced.
Yeah,
and
same.
Yeah, and I think from the very beginning we kind of felt that weird connection. And obviously, both of us being half Asian, I mean, you go through so much being a half Asian actor and half Asian in life
Yeah.
and in the business, that you automatically kind of have, I think you said it, like an empathy, right?
Yeah.
And that's a really big foundation to build from. That we already had that from the beginning, you know. And Anna's an incredibly talented actor. She learns super fast. She's super funny, and she's very like on her toes with improv, with everything. And it was an honor to. It was easy, I should say, to like develop something together. And her instincts are so true. And we talked a lot about the background and backstory and.
Yeah. No.
You feel that way?
Yeah.
So just lovely. Say it.
It's so lovely. No, I really agree. I think, it could have been a situation where you kind of click in a chemistry read, and then you're like, oh, this person, I don't have anything to connect me to them. But we kind of got sort of energetically, we're quite the same as well. Both quite thoughtful, I think, and so yeah, when we were talking about what would make, how our characters had got to where they'd gotten to, creating our shared backstory, we were really straight away on the same wavelength, and Lewis would be suggesting things that I felt like, oh wow, yeah, I didn't think about that. We can build on it, rather than, oh, is that what you were thinking? We were really like in tune. And yeah, like just to echo what Lewis is saying, it was from the get-go like a mutual understanding of like we've had to fight to get to where we are, you know, and we'd had to hang on in there to make our way to this point. So we had that understanding, and I mean, yeah. From my point of view as well, I was learning so much from Lewis. He's been in the business for such a long time, and like in terms of like just physical dynamism and things like that, it was like every day was a school day. So it was great. Yeah,
it's funny that you say that, because even now it was so in sync. It was so easy that I never even really thought about how like horrendous it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been really
right. I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, so
it's testament to good casting and Eric and Dagan, our showrunners, putting together a good cast.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think they have a lot more. I think they've come to a lot more kind of an accepting place than maybe Alina has. Maybe Alina, I don't want to speak for her, but is more in that space of kind of like still figuring it out. Like, do I want to be like them? Do I want to be seen like this? Like seeing maybe her race as a problem, and because it has caused her so many problems, from the orphanage onwards. And I think for Tolya and Tamar, because I think we have been taught, obviously our backstory is that our mother didn't want us to, go into the Second Army, didn't want us to live like that. Our father trained us so that we wouldn't have to. So we've kind of got this like family background, this dynamic of going, oh, we are who we are and we're not going to apologize for it. And we have these powers, but no one's going to pigeonhole us into having to say we're either Ravkan, Shu, Kefta, Heartrender. It's like, this is who we are. Take it or leave it. There was a lot of good bits.
There was a lot. I mean, it's such an action-packed show, and there's so much that happens. I personally really enjoyed filming in Shuhan, because we got to see like that world again, and
it was so beautiful as well.
It was so beautiful, and I got to eat all this amazing. I got Tolya got to eat you know, all this amazing bows and fried squid, and you know, I got to.
Character, it's a character thing. It's a character.
I think your character even says in the show, she's like, he's over there eating all the food, right?
Actually, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I have a real soft spot for right towards the end of the show. When we reunited, and I'm like, you ate all the snacks, didn't you? Like, you didn't bring me any of the snacks. I was like, I really felt that pain. I was like, where are my delicious squid?
Yes, yeah. That's such like an Asian cultural thing too. It's like, you know, you crave that feeling. It just when you eat it, you're like, You're like, even when we were in Budapest, there's not a lot of really authentic like Chinese food out there.
Yeah.
And Anna has searched far and long and found like the only place, and it was like 45 minutes out of town, and we were like, let's go.
Let's go. We brought the whole gang.
We brought the whole gang.
We ordered for everyone.
And then I'm not going to mention who, but some of them didn't even know what the Lazy Susan was for. They're like, "What does this do?"
I'm like,
We're like, "All right, let us educate you about this Chinese food, okay?" But
that was great.
I forgot your question, but I went on a tangent.
We went on a food tangent. Surprise, yeah.
There was a couple things that were new, you know. For instance, when I first arrived on set, it was like one of my first days. The prop team like had all these different weapons to choose from, and they were so cool. They were like, "What do you think is the one for your character?" And I went through all these different swords, and I picked like the heaviest one. It was the most beautiful one, and I wish you guys could see it because. The handle has this dragon that's interwoven in it, and out of the mouth comes the blade, and it's just this beautiful sword. But it was super heavy, and it's in this, you know, it's on his back practically. And you know, I don't know how familiar you are with pulling swords out of from your back, but it's quite difficult, especially if it's long. So that, and then also using the gun at the same time was something that, you know, usually you're only using either a sword or a gun in anything. Any project. I can't think of anything off my head where you have both. So yeah, using that together was really interesting. And then also fighting with Anna, like with my twin. Not just with Anna in particular, but like how the twins move. The twins, how they move together and think together should be very similar to how they respond emotionally, mentally. You know, like all of that should be connected into the way that they move. You should feel that in their performance. How they can read each other without even looking. How they can respond without even, you know, they just know. They're just one step ahead of each other and they're right there. So working that choreography was really cool and very unique and a lot of fun, actually. It wasn't really challenging. It was just fun. I had a great time.
You right away, I was like, okay, that is going to be what is really going to be pushing me out of my comfort zone. And at first, you know, you're coming into a show like this, you're working with someone like Lewis, and at the beginning I had a lot of trepidation, you know, imposter syndrome, like, oh, how am I going to, I don't want to drag anything down, I want to, you know, bring my A game. The stunt team was so encouraging. Lewis was nothing but encouraging, which was, again, you know, we were talking about like, what could have been. I can totally imagine a situation where someone was like, I'm a pro, what is this? But I was so lucky. I got a shout out to my cousin Kalan as well, because he, as soon as I booked the job, he was like, okay, I'm gonna train you. So he was helping me from the get-go. And I had done some training. I did used to do some dancing, you know, I know how to move. I felt confident in that sense, but like, certainly learned so much about, like, as you say, the storytelling through the choreography. It's not just about, you know, just a movement, just a sequence of movements, just a, you know, how are you looking on camera? No, it's like, what story are you telling? And learning how to layer those things on was really like the next step, and actually freed me up a lot. But I really felt so supported by Lewis and so kind of encouraged. Yeah, it was big kind of growing space for me, and I feel really, really grateful to have been able to do it. Yeah, I mean, Nadia definitely catches Tamar's eye from the get-go. And, you know, she's such... I think there's a lot of parallels with those two characters. They're very close to their brothers, you know, and they really, like, there's a long, strong family bond. And I think Tamar sees that in Nadia and really respects it. And also just in someone who has grown up at the Little Palace, has kind of all the trappings of what you might think of as like a small-minded Ravkan, protected Grisha upbringing. And actually she's just like really strong-willed and single-minded, and yeah, definitely aspects that Tamar really admires. So yeah, I think you might see a few sparks flying.
I mean, I'll just speak for myself. I mean, I think that Toya ends in a place that is very different in the world where he lives in, and I think he's learned a lot as far as, you know, growing and working with other people, and now there's many variables that have changed in their world. But I would like to see more of a arc emotionally for Toya, because he's very steadfast in his emotions. He's very concrete in his beliefs. I would like to see a wrench get thrown in there and something, you know, to spark a challenge internally with him. Whereas, you know, he's looked at as he's the person you can look at it as he's going to be grounded, he's going to be there, he's going to be the rock. But it would be nice to explore some different dynamics in his character development in the coming seasons, for sure.
Yeah, I would say that it's so funny because we're like two sides of the same coin. So in a way, I'm feeling like, well, Tamar can never be pinned down, and so if she's gonna start to, like, you know, form bonds and create, you know, how is that going to affect their relationship, the twins' relationship together, but also, you know, people who are used to being footloose and fancy free don't always take so well to having boundaries and things like hemming them in. So it would be interesting to see. I suppose that kind of speaks to the twins' overall journey, because the more they develop lives away from each other, the more they lose that kind of counterbalance in their life, the outside counterbalance of the other person, and they have to develop that part of their personality for themselves. And I think there's always, you know, they're in a kind of a codependent relationship, for good or for bad. So as they move out of that, like, what challenges do they end up facing?
Well, that was their relationship for their survival, right? I mean, so now things are different in so many different ways, almost more extreme in some ways too. So yeah, there's a lot to explore in that dynamic. Well put.
I did so. Yeah, I think they cut through a lot of bullshit.
Yeah. They can suss it out right away. I mean, they're just instinctually people, not just, well, I mean, they're heart renders, so they have the ability to literally kind of have that sixth sense and feel out.
Yeah, take,
you know,
the pulse, literally, of what's going on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Pun intended. And it's like that's the way that they are normally, and also the way that they've chosen to live. They've chosen to not be a part of these institutionalized groups and these, you know, they've chosen to not have any labels. They've chosen to be that way on purpose. So when they do choose in a cause, it's for a deeply rooted in their beliefs and in their heart, and that's very powerful. That's very, very powerful for anybody.
Yeah, it's not like just patriotism or I do because they say I should do, anything like that. And so you're like, well, they have to be convinced, and once they're convinced, you have them, you know, but their reasons are like very much their own. Yeah, Rebel spirits.
They're very punk rock. I was just gonna say,
yeah,
but with
right.
but with a big heart.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Well, what's it gonna be?
I don't know because I mean, we'd definitely be Grisha, I think.
Yeah, it'd be Grisha for sure.
I mean, if we could have that connection, that heart-render twin connection, I'd be so in tune with the world around us.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing to live with, psychologically at least, in the scenes. And yeah, I think if we got to have that in real life, that would be incredible. I mean, so much of what you see and what you hear today is a facade, and it'd be very nice to just cut through all of that without even having to think about it. You would live a very free and truthful life.
Yeah.
Right?
A super sort of truthful and connected life.
Something that we all strive for.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty special.
We'll take our powers.
Mm-hmm.